The alien ships arrived on a Tuesday morning. They came without warning, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation above Earth's orbit. There were hundreds of them, each one the size of a small city. Their hulls were dark gray, covered in symbols that human computers could not read. They hung in space like iron mountains, blocking out the stars. Commander Jiho stood on the bridge of the warship Indomitable, watching the sensor displays with growing dread. He was a tall man with short black hair and tired eyes. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 20 years, fighting pirates and settling disputes between colony worlds. Nothing had prepared him for this. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Daiho, his communications officer. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies. They want everyone to hear it." "Put it on screen," Jiho said. The view screen flickered. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, skin like polished stone, and a mouth that moved in ways that made Jiho's stomach turn. When it spoke, the translation software turned its words into cold, precise English. "Humans of Earth, we are the Galactic Concordate. We have observed your species for 300 of your years. You are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. You have spread to 17 star systems without permission. You have refused to acknowledge galactic law. This ends now. You have 72 hours to surrender. Dismantle your weapons. Accept concordate governors on all your worlds. Kneel or be destroyed. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy if you refuse." The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. "Get me Earth Command," Jiho said quietly. "Now." While Lieutenant Daiho worked, Jiho stared at the alien fleet on his sensors. He counted 347 ships. Earth's entire defense fleet numbered 68 vessels, spread across a dozen systems. Even if they called everyone home, the math was simple and terrible. The emergency conference lasted 6 hours. Jiho watched on a secure channel as presidents, prime ministers, and generals argued. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. A few thought it was a trick or a test. In Beijing, they proposed sending diplomats. In Moscow, they suggested a nuclear strike. In Washington, they talked about evacuation protocols that everyone knew would save less than 1% of Earth's population. In Seoul, the president was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. "My grandmother survived the old wars. She told me something I never forgot. She said the moment you kneel, you teach your children that kneeling is normal. What are we teaching our children today?" The debate continued, but Jiho stopped listening. He pulled up a private communication channel, one that only 3 people in the solar system could access. He typed a short message. "Minji, tell me you have something." The reply took 40 minutes. Dr. Minji was working at a research facility hidden in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Neptune's orbit. She was brilliant, aggressive, and completely unwilling to accept defeat. She had been leading something called the Horizon Project for 5 years. The project was so secret that even most of Earth's leaders did not know it existed. Her message was brief. "Maybe. Need 12 more hours. Don't surrender." Jiho closed his eyes. 12 hours. The aliens had given them 72, but he knew how these things worked. The Concordate would attack early. They always did. Bullies always struck when they thought you were weak and confused. "Sir, we have another problem," Lieutenant Daiho said. "Captain Hyon's ship, the Silent Blade, was deep scanning the outer system. They've gone dark. Last transmission said they were approaching one of the alien vessels to gather intelligence." Jiho's jaw tightened. Captain Hyon was one of his best officers, a specialist in stealth operations. She was also stubborn enough to take insane risks if she thought it would help. "Any signal at all?" "Nothing, sir. It's like they vanished." "Keep scanning." "Hyon's too smart to get caught easily." The hours crawled past. Jiho watched the alien fleet and waited. Around Earth, people panicked. The markets collapsed. Riots broke out in 7 major cities. 3 governments fell. Religious leaders declared it the end times. Scientists begged for more time to study the aliens. Parents held their children and tried to explain things they did not understand themselves. At hour 68, 4 hours before the deadline, Captain Hyun's ship suddenly appeared on scanners. It had slipped past the alien blockade using some trick Jiho did not understand. Within minutes, Hyun was on his screen. She looked exhausted, her short hair messy and her uniform torn. "Commander, we got inside one of their ships. We accessed their communication network." She paused, and Jiho saw something in her eyes he had never seen before. Fear. Real deep fear. "Sir, they're lying. The ultimatum is fake. We found their real orders. They don't want our surrender. They want us extinct. The 72 hours is just theater. They're going to attack in 3 hours, no matter what we say. They've done this before, sir. We found records. 14 other species. 14 extinction events. We're just number 15. The bridge went silent. Someone dropped a data pad. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Jiho felt something cold settle in his chest. Not fear. Not exactly. It was the feeling he got before every battle. The moment when all the uncertainty burned away and only the mission remained. "Send that data to Earth Command. Full encryption, then get me Minji again." When Minji's face appeared on his private channel, he did not waste time. "I need Horizon operational now, not in 12 hours now." "Jiho, it's not ready. The test simulations? We're out of time. They're going to kill us all in 3 hours. Whatever you have, I need it." Minji stared at him. Then she nodded. "Understood. I'll activate the gateway. But Jiho, we don't know what's on the other side. The coordinates were locked. This could kill us faster than the aliens will." "Then we die trying," Jiho said. "Better than dying on our knees." He cut the channel and turned to his crew. "All hands. Prepare for combat operations. Send a fleet-wide signal. Every ship, every station, every defense platform. We're going to make these aliens regret they ever found Earth." Above the planet, the alien ships began to move into bombardment positions. The countdown had begun. Earth's answer came with 30 minutes to spare. Every news channel, every radio frequency, every data stream broadcast the same message. It was short. The president of the United Earth Assembly spoke calmly, her hands folded on the desk before her. "To the Galactic Concordat, humanity rejects your ultimatum. We will not surrender. We will not kneel. We will not teach our children that freedom can be traded for survival. If you want this world, you will have to take it from our dead hands. We are humanity. We do not bow." The transmission ended. For exactly 90 seconds, nothing happened. People across Earth held their breath. Some prayed, some cried, some simply held the people they loved. Then Geneva disappeared in a ball of white fire. The alien weapon struck from orbit with no warning. The beam was invisible until it touched atmosphere. Then it lit up like a second sun. It burned through the city in 7 seconds. 15 million people died so fast they never knew what happened. The lake boiled away. The mountains melted. When the light finally faded, there was nothing left but a crater of glowing glass 30 kilometers wide. Commander Jiho watched it happen on his sensors. He felt his hands shake on the armrest of his command chair. His younger brother had been stationed at the Geneva Orbital Defense Platform. That platform was now part of the expanding cloud of debris that had been the city. "All ships," he said, and his voice came out steady despite everything. "Attack pattern Delta. We're going in." The Indomitable led 67 other Earth ships toward the alien fleet. It was suicide. Everyone knew it. The aliens had better shields, better weapons, better everything. But Jiho had learned something in 20 years of combat. When someone punches you in the face, you punch back. Even if they are bigger, even if you know you will lose, you punch back because if you do not, you are already dead inside. The first exchange lasted 4 minutes. Earth lost 9 ships. The aliens lost 1. But that one loss seemed to surprise them. They had expected humanity to scatter and run. Instead, the human ships came closer, using debris fields and destroyed satellites as cover, firing at point-blank range, where the alien shields were weakest. Jiho's tactical officer was Lieutenant Borum, a thin woman with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. "Sir, they're adapting, changing formation to counter our attack pattern." Then we changed too. "Borum, pull up every battle in human history, ancient, modern, everything. These aliens fight like they expect us to be rational. Show them what crazy looks like." What followed was chaos. Human ships did not fight like the Concordat expected. They rammed damaged alien vessels with their own damaged ships, taking 2 enemies down in nuclear fireballs. They hid inside clouds of their own wreckage and ambushed passing patrols. They used ancient tactics from Earth's bloody history, things the aliens had never seen. Guerrilla warfare in space. It worked. Barely. The aliens kept dying in 1s and 2s, but humanity bled for every victory. After 6 hours of fighting, Earth's fleet was down to 34 ships. The aliens still had over 300. In the Kuiper Belt, Dr. Minji worked without sleeping. Her research station was a small facility built into an asteroid, hidden from sensors by layers of ice and rock. She had a team of 43 scientists and engineers. They were activating something that should not exist. The Horizon Project had started as a theoretical study. The idea was simple. If you could fold space-time in the right way, you could create a stable wormhole, a gateway to anywhere in the universe. The math said it was possible. The engineering said it was insane. Minji had spent 5 years making the insane into reality. The problem was the destination. The original project director, a man named Dr. Kangman, had encrypted the coordinates before he died in a shuttle accident 3 years ago. Minji's team had tried everything to break the encryption. Nothing worked. Now, with aliens burning Earth's cities, she had to activate a gateway to an unknown location and hope it led somewhere useful instead of the heart of a star. "Power levels at 80%, said Sunho, her lead engineer. He was a young man with nervous hands and a gift for solving impossible problems. "The wormhole should stabilize in 40 minutes. "Make it 20, Minji said. "People are dying. Doctor, if we rush this, 20 minutes, Sunho, or this whole project was pointless." Back at Earth, the aliens made their second strike. They hit São Paulo, then Mumbai, then Lagos. 3 more cities, 40 million more dead. They were making examples, showing humanity the price of defiance. Commander Jiho received the casualty reports on his bridge. He read each one, forced himself to see the numbers as people. Then he locked the grief away in a box inside his mind. He would open that box later, if there was a later. "Sir, incoming message from Captain Hyon," Lieutenant Deho said. "She's still aboard the alien command ship, the Sovereign Truth." Hyon's image appeared. She was hiding in some kind of maintenance tunnel, her face lit by the glow of her handheld computer. "Commander, I've been planting code bombs in their systems. Nothing major, just small delays and sensor ghosts. But I found something else. The Concordat has a weakness. They're not actually unified. 3 of their species want to withdraw from the attack. They think exterminating humanity is too extreme. There's political division." "Can we exploit it?" Jiho asked. "Maybe. If we make them bleed enough, if we make this costly enough, the alliance might fracture. But Jiho..." She paused. "We need a victory. A real one. Something that scares them. I'm working on it. Stay hidden. We need you alive." The battle continued. Human ships darted and struck like wolves around a bear, never strong enough to bring it down, just trying to draw blood and survive. The aliens were growing frustrated. Their formations became more aggressive. They stopped being careful. That was when Jiho sprang his trap. He had spent 3 hours secretly positioning 15 heavily damaged ships in the debris field of destroyed orbital habitats. The ships looked dead, floating dark and cold. The aliens ignored them. Then a concorded assault group of 23 cruisers moved through the debris field, hunting for the human command ship. Jiho's dead vessels came alive all at once, weapons firing at minimum range. The aliens had no time to raise shields or evade. In 90 seconds, 17 alien ships became clouds of burning gas. The human ships died, too, all 15 of them. Their crews had volunteered, knowing it was a one-way mission. Jiho watched them disappear from his sensors and added 15 more names to the list of people he would mourn later. But the aliens reacted differently. For the first time, they hesitated. They pulled back their forward elements. They became cautious. Jiho saw it on his tactical display and felt something like hope stir in his chest. "They're afraid," Lieutenant Borum said quietly. "We made them afraid." "Good," Jiho said. "Fear makes mistakes. We need them to make mistakes." His communication panel blinked. Private channel, Minji. Her face appeared, and she looked different. Her eyes were wide. "Jiho, it's active. The gateway is open. And you need to see what's on the other side." "What is it?" "I don't know. The sensors are going crazy. There's something massive out there, something old. Jiho, I think Dr. Kangmin knew about this. I think that is why he encrypted the coordinates. He was protecting something. Or protecting us from something." Jiho looked at his tactical display. 31 human ships left, 300 alien vessels, Earth burning, cities destroyed, his brother dead, millions dead, no reinforcements coming, no clever plan left to try. "Send me the coordinates," he said. "We're going through." "All of you? Jiho, we do not know what is out there." "We know what is here. We are losing, so we gamble. Send the coordinates to every surviving ship. We jump together in 10 minutes. He closed the channel and stood up from his command chair. "All crew, this is the commander. We're leaving the battle. We're going somewhere the aliens cannot follow. We're going to find a way to save Earth. I know this sounds insane. I know you are scared. I am scared too. But we have one chance, and this is it. Prepare for gateway transit." Around Earth, the surviving human ships broke off from combat and formed up. The aliens, confused by the sudden retreat, did not pursue. They thought humanity was running. Maybe they were right. The gateway opened like a wound in space, a circle of brilliant blue light. One by one, the human ships entered it and vanished. Commander Jiho's Indomitable was the last to go. He took one final look at Earth on his view screen, his home, the blue-green world where humanity had been born, where his brother was buried under tons of melted rock. "We'll be back," he promised the empty space. "And when we return, we're going to make them pay for every life they took." Then the Indomitable entered the light, and Earth disappeared behind them. The light faded, and Commander Jiho found himself staring at a graveyard. The Indomitable's sensors went wild, detecting thousands of contacts in every direction. At first, Jiho thought they had jumped into another battle. Then he realized the contacts were not moving. They were ships, yes, dead ships. Thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands, floating in the darkness like bones in a desert. "Location confirmed," Lieutenant Borum said, her voice shaking. "We're approximately 40,000 light-years from Earth. This region, it's not on any star charts. There's nothing here. No stars, no planets, just this." This was a field of wreckage that stretched farther than their sensors could reach. The dead ships came in hundreds of different designs, built by species Jiho had never seen. Some were elegant, all curves and grace. Others were brutal, all angles and armor. All of them were cold and dark, drifting in the void for who knew how long. The 31 surviving Earth ships hung together in a tight formation, their crews silent as they processed what they were seeing. Lieutenant Deho broke the silence first. Sir, we're receiving automated messages from the wrecks. Warning beacons, distress calls, last transmissions. Some of these are... Commander, some of these signals are millions of years old. Jiho felt cold. What happened here? Analyzing the wreckage now, Borum said. Sir, these ships were destroyed in battle. I'm seeing weapons damage, hull breaches, signs of massive energy discharges. This was a war, and everyone lost. Dr. Minji's voice came over the fleet-wide channel from her location on the research ship Horizon. Jiho, I'm picking up something else. There's a structure at the center of the debris field. It's massive, bigger than anything I've ever seen, and it's still active. It's still producing power. Show me, Jiho said. The view screen shifted. Through the field of dead ships, Jiho saw it. A structure that made his mind hurt trying to understand its size. It looked like a city built for giants, all towers and platforms and docking arms, each one kilometers long. Parts of it were dark, destroyed by some ancient catastrophe. But in the center, lights still burned. Blue lights, cold and steady, that had been shining for longer than human civilization had existed. What is it? Someone asked. A shipyard, Minji said. An automated shipyard, and it's building something. Jiho made a decision. All ships, maintain position here. Indomitable, Horizon, and Silent Blade will approach the structure. Everyone else start analyzing the wreckage. Look for anything useful. Technology, weapons, information. We need every advantage we can find. The three ships moved slowly through the graveyard. Jiho saw crew members crossing themselves, praying, or simply staring in silence at the magnitude of death around them. He understood. This place was a tomb for civilizations, a reminder that even in a galaxy full of life, everyone died eventually. Captain Hyan's Silent Blade took point, her stealth systems scanning for threats. She had escaped the Concordate command ship during the chaos of the battle, stealing a shuttle and making a desperate run through the alien fleet. Somehow, she had survived. Her voice came over the communication channel, calm and professional. No active weapons detected. No life signs. Whatever happened here, it ended a long time ago. They docked with the ancient shipyard at one of the few ports that still had atmosphere. Jiho led a team of 20 Marines and scientists into the structure, wearing full combat gear and carrying enough weapons to fight a small war. They found corridors wide enough to drive tanks through, ceilings lost in shadow high above, and air that tasted stale despite the functioning life support. The structure was dying. Lights flickered, sections had collapsed, strange symbols covered the walls. Maybe warnings or instructions or prayers. Jiho could not tell. But something still lived here. Something waited. They found it in the central control chamber. It was an artificial intelligence, a vast computer system built into the heart of the shipyard. When they entered the room, it spoke to them in a voice like grinding stone, translated into English by their computers. New patterns detected. Biological signatures identified. Species unknown. Classification desperate. Query: you seek weapons against the Concordate. Affirmative or negative? Jiho stepped forward. Affirmative. Who are you? What is this place? Designation: builder. Function: create vessels for the first coalition. History: 3.2 million years ago, 12 species united against the predecessor empire. The empire demanded submission. The coalition refused. War resulted. Duration: 4,000 years. Outcome: coalition defeated. Empire collapsed. All participants extinct. This facility, final production center. Purpose: construct weapons for victory that came too late. The chamber fell silent. Jiho felt the weight of those words. Millions of years ago, other species had fought the same battle humanity was fighting now. They had built incredible weapons. They had united. They had fought for thousands of years, and they had still lost. Why are you still active? Dr. Minji asked. If everyone died, why keep building ships? Purpose remains. Purpose is eternal. Builder constructs vessels. Builder awaits worthy inheritors. Query. Are you worthy? What do you mean, worthy? Jiho asked. Observation. Your species travels far to resist extinction. You do not surrender when victory is impossible. You seek weapons from the dead to fight the living. Assessment. Behavior matches first coalition parameters. Conclusion. You may be worthy. Builder offers choice. Option 1. Take the completed vessels and flee into deep space. Live as refugees forever. Option 2. Take the completed vessels and return to fight. Risk extinction for the chance at victory. The builder's massive display screens came online, showing the shipyard's construction bays. Jiho's breath caught. There were ships there, hundreds of them, hanging in the darkness like sleeping dragons. They were black, so black they seemed to drink in the light around them. Their hulls were smooth and curved, built in ways that seemed more grown than constructed. And they were huge. The smallest was twice the size of the Indomitable. Specifications: 300 combat vessels. Power source: contained stellar cores. Weapons: matter disintegration, quantum disruption, and space-time manipulation. Shields: adaptive energy refraction. Estimated combat effectiveness: each vessel equivalent to 50 concordant warships. Warning: these weapons were sealed because they were too terrible to use. The First Coalition won every battle with them. They still lost the war. Lieutenant Borum was running calculations on her handheld computer. Commander, if these specifications are accurate, this fleet could destroy the concordant blockade around Earth in minutes, maybe hours at most. Why did the Coalition lose if they had such powerful weapons? Hyun asked. The builder was quiet for a long moment. Explanation: victory and survival are not identical. The Coalition destroyed their enemies. In doing so, they destroyed themselves. The weapons changed them, made them cruel, made them feared. When the war ended, they were alone. No allies, no trade partners, no future. They collapsed from within. Final Coalition message: some victories destroy the victors. Jiho walked to the viewing window and stared out at the ancient warships. He thought about Earth burning. Geneva turned to glass. His brother's death. 40 million people dead in a single day. He thought about the Concordate's ultimatum, their certainty that humanity would kneel or die. Then he thought about the Builder's warning, about becoming the monster you fight, about winning battles and losing yourself. Dr. Minji joined him at the window. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we don't have a choice, Jiho said. I'm thinking those ships out there are the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. I'm thinking about the price we'll pay for using them. And I'm thinking the Concordate made a mistake. They thought we'd surrender. They didn't understand that humans have been fighting losing battles since we climbed down from the trees. We've been the underdogs so long we don't know how to be anything else. They gave us 72 hours to kneel. We're going to use these ships to teach them why that was a mistake. He turned to the builder. We accept. We'll take the ships. We'll fight. Acknowledged. Transferring control to Commander Jiho of Earth. Warning repeated. These weapons will change you. Use them wisely. Use them with restraint. Or become like those who built the graveyard outside. The ancient shipyard hummed to life. Docking clamps released. The black ships began to move, their systems activating after millions of years of sleep. Power cores ignited like newborn stars. Weapons that had ended civilizations charged and readied. Jiho watched them come alive and felt both hope and dread in equal measure. Humanity had its weapon. Now they would see if they were strong enough to use it without losing themselves. All ships, he broadcast to the Earth fleet, prepare to return home. We're bringing the Midnight Armada to Earth, and we're going to remind the Concordate why you never ever push humans into a corner. In the darkness, 300 ancient warships waited. They had been built for a war that ended before humanity existed. Now, they would fight again. And the galaxy would remember their power. For better or worse, the Midnight Armada was awake. The Midnight Armada emerged from the gateway like a storm made of darkness and fury. One moment, the Concordat fleet hung in orbit above Earth, preparing to begin the final bombardment. 300 alien warships in perfect formation, ready to burn humanity's homeworld until nothing remained but ash and memory. The next moment, space tore open, and 300 black ships poured through, moving with a grace that should have been impossible for vessels so massive. Commander Jiho stood on the bridge of his new flagship, a Midnight Armada dreadnought he had named Defiance. The ancient ship was so large that the Indomitable could have fit inside one of its hangar bays. The bridge was strange, built for aliens who had died millions of years ago, but human engineers had worked day and night to adapt the controls. Now it responded to Jiho's commands like an extension of his will. "Open a channel to the Concordat fleet," he ordered. "All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." Lieutenant Deho, who had transferred to the Defiance along with most of Jiho's original crew, nodded. "Channel open, sir." Jiho spoke calmly, his voice carrying across the void to every Concordat ship, to every defense station, to the command vessel's sovereign truth itself. "This is Commander Jiho of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came to our world. You demanded we kneel. You murdered our cities when we refused. Now we have an answer for you. We don't kneel, we don't surrender, and we don't forgive." He paused, letting the words sink in. Then he finished. "You wanted to see what humanity does when pushed to extinction. Now you'll learn. Fire." The Midnight Armada opened fire as one. The ancient weapons lit up the darkness with beams of energy that seemed to tear reality itself. They were not like human weapons or Concordat weapons. They did not simply destroy matter. They unmade it, breaking the fundamental forces that held atoms together, turning starship hulls into expanding clouds of elementary particles. The Concordat shields, which had shrugged off every weapon humanity had used before, lasted for exactly 2 seconds. Then they collapsed like tissue paper in a fire. Alien ships began dying, not exploding, just stopping. Their power cores went dark. Their hulls came apart. Their crews had maybe 3 seconds to understand what was happening before they ceased to exist. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, the Concordat blockade was gone, not retreating, not damaged, gone. 300 warships reduced to debris and fading energy signatures. The Midnight Armada had not lost a single vessel. They had barely been scratched. On Earth, people watched through telescopes and satellites and broadcast feeds. They saw the alien fleet die. They saw the black ships hanging in orbit where the aliens had been, silent and terrible and beautiful. Some people cheered, some cried, some simply stood in shock, unable to process what they had witnessed. Dr. Minji watched from her station aboard the Horizon, and she felt sick. The weapons had worked exactly as the builder had promised. They were devastating, unstoppable, and she was terrified of what they would do to humanity. "Commander," she transmitted on a private channel, "we won. The blockade is destroyed. We should stop here. Fortify Earth's defenses. Let the Concordat withdraw." "They're not withdrawing," Jiho replied. "Sensors show them regrouping in the Tau Ceti system. They're gathering reinforcements. If we wait, they'll come back stronger. Then we negotiate. We show them we can defend ourselves, and we open diplomatic channels. Jiho, we don't need to hunt them." There was a long pause. Then Jiho said, "They killed my brother. They killed 40 million people in a single day. They have records of 14 other species they've exterminated. 14, Minji. They're not going to stop because we won one battle. They're going to keep coming until either they're dead or we are. And if hunting them turns us into them, the builder warned us. These weapons change people." "I know. I'll deal with that when Earth is safe. Not before. Jiho out. The Midnight Armada left Earth's orbit and jumped into faster-than-light travel, following the retreating Concordate fleet. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The Armada hit the Concordate forces in Tau Ceti 3 hours later. The aliens had gathered 90 ships, expecting reinforcements. They got annihilation. The black ships tore through them like a blade through water. The few vessels that tried to flee were hunted down and destroyed. Jiho gave the order personally for each kill. Captain Hyon's silent blade scouted ahead, her sensors tracking Concordate movements. She reported back to Jiho after the third battle. "Commander, they're terrified. Their communications are full of panic. They're calling us demons, ghosts, the darkness that hunts. They don't understand what we are." "Good," Jiho said. "Fear keeps people from making stupid mistakes. How many ships do they have left?" "Best estimate, about 200 combat vessels spread across 15 systems. But Jiho, there's something else. I'm intercepting civilian communications too. Families, children. These aliens have cities, schools, farms. They're people, sir. Not that different from us. People who voted for leaders that commit genocide," Jiho replied coldly. "People who benefited from the extinction of 14 species. I know what you're saying, Hyon. I understand the moral complexity. But right now, I don't care. We're finishing this." The Armada continued its campaign. System by system, battle by battle, the Concordate fleet died. The black ships were merciless, efficient, and terrifyingly effective. Human losses were minimal. The few times Concordat weapons managed to hit the Armada vessels, the adaptive shield simply absorbed the energy and grew stronger. Dr. Minji watched the casualty reports grow and felt her fear deepen. Jiho was winning every engagement, but something was changing in his voice during their conversations. He was colder now, more distant. The weight of command was crushing the man she knew and replacing him with something harder. She was not the only one who noticed. Lieutenant Borum requested a private meeting with Minji after the 6th battle. They met in a small conference room on the horizon, away from listening devices. "He's not sleeping," Borum said quietly. "The commander. He stays on the bridge for 20, 30 hours at a time. When he does rest, he has nightmares. I hear him sometimes through the walls. He's reliving Geneva, reliving every person we've lost." "He's carrying too much," Minji said. "Someone needs to talk to him." "I tried. He told me we'd talk after the war was over. But Doctor, what if the war changes us so much that over doesn't matter anymore? What if we become exactly what we're fighting?" That question haunted Minji. She threw herself into research, analyzing the Midnight Armada's weapon systems, looking for any limits or weaknesses. What she found terrified her. The ships had a weapon the builder had not mentioned. It was buried deep in the systems, locked behind multiple safeguards. The Cascade, a quantum-entangled weapon that could destroy multiple star systems simultaneously by linking their stellar cores and forcing them into simultaneous supernova. It was a weapon designed to end not battles, but entire civilizations, to burn away any trace that they had ever existed. Minji immediately contacted Jiho. "We need to talk, in person, now." They met in the Defiance's observation deck, a vast room with windows that showed the stars beyond. Minji brought up the Cascade data on a portable display. "This weapon is built into every Midnight Armada ship," she said. "Do you know what it does?" Jiho studied the data. His face showed no emotion. "Yes. I've known since we bonded with the ship systems. The builder told me about it separately. It's a last resort weapon. It's a genocide weapon, Jiho. If you use this, you'll kill billions, entire species, everything in targeted systems. I know what it is. And you weren't going to tell anyone? You were just going to keep this secret?" Jiho turned to face her. Would you have come back to Earth if you knew? Would the crew? Or would everyone have argued and debated while the Concordat regrouped and came back to finish what they started? That's not the point. The point is we're at war, Minji. A war we didn't start. A war where the enemy has already shown they're willing to commit genocide. I'm not saying we'll use the Cascade. I'm saying we need every advantage we have. And what happens when the Concordat gets desperate? What happens when they decide that if they can't win, they'll take everyone else down with them? Jiho didn't answer. He didn't need to. The answer came 12 hours later. Captain Hyeon intercepted Concordat military communications. She patched the translation through to the entire fleet. A Concordat admiral was speaking to their Grand Council. The transmission was broken and panicked. Losses unacceptable. Fleet strength below critical threshold. Humans advancing on all fronts. Recommend activation of Stellar Purge Protocol. If we cannot have victory. Deny them survival. 30 inhabited systems, including their home world. Total sterilization. The transmission ended. Silence filled every ship in the Midnight Armada. Hyeon's voice came over the command channel, shaking. Jiho, we've been tracking the Purge control stations. There are 8 of them, spread across Concordat space. Each one is built into a fortress world with massive defenses. They need all 8 stations to activate simultaneously. We have 30 hours before they can complete the startup sequence. Can we destroy all 8 in time? Jiho asked. Not conventionally. They're too far apart. Too well defended. Even with the Armada, we'd need days to fight through to all of them. Minji felt her blood turn cold. She knew what Jiho was thinking. She could see it in his eyes. Don't, she said. Jiho, don't. There's another way. There has to be. What other way? We can't reach the stations in time. If we don't stop them, they'll kill Earth. They'll kill everyone. Then we broadcast what they're planning. We tell the galaxy. We expose them as monsters willing to burn 30 star systems. And then what? We wait for someone else to save us? Minji, we're out of time. He turned to Lieutenant Daeho. Send activation codes to all Armada vessels. Prepare the Cascade. Target coordinates. All 8 Purge control stations and their surrounding systems. Sir, Daeho said, his voice horrified. Those systems have civilian populations. Billions of lives. I know. Do it anyway. Minji grabbed Jiho's arm. You can't. If you do this, you're no better than them. You'll prove the Concordat was right to fear us. Jiho pulled away. I'll be a monster who saved humanity. That's good enough. The Cascade began charging. Across the Armada, weapons that could kill stars came online. Jiho stood at the window, watching the targeting coordinates appear on the glass. 8 star systems. 34 inhabited planets. Billions of lives. His hand hovered over the firing control. All he had to do was press it. Save Earth. Damn his soul. Simple. And Dr. Minji watched, praying that the man she knew was still in there somewhere, buried under the weight of war and grief and impossible choices, praying he would find another way. The countdown reached 0. Jiho's finger touched the control, and everything changed. Commander Jiho's finger stopped 1 millimeter from the firing control. He stood frozen, staring at the button that would kill billions. Behind him, the entire bridge crew held their breath. Dr. Minji watched, tears running down her face, waiting to see which choice he would make. Then Jiho pulled his hand back. Cancel the Cascade, he said quietly. Cancel it now. Lieutenant Daeho moved fast, shutting down the weapon systems before anyone could question the order. The targeting coordinates faded from the view screen. The power buildup in the Armada's cores began to dissipate. Sir, Lieutenant Borum asked, what are we going to do instead? Jiho turned to face his crew. He looked older than he had a month ago. The war had carved lines into his face, turned his eyes hard and cold. But something in those eyes had shifted. Some small spark of humanity had fought its way back to the surface. "We're going to do something the Concordat won't expect," he said. "We're going to tell the truth. Daiho, open a channel. I want this broadcast to every civilization in the galaxy, every planet, every ship, every listening post. Make it impossible to ignore." "Sir, that will reveal our position to everyone, including hostile forces." "I know. Do it anyway." The channel opened. Jiho spoke, his voice carrying across light years of space, translated into hundreds of languages by automated systems. "This is Commander Jiho of Earth to the civilizations of the galaxy. You don't know us. Until recently, we didn't know you existed. A month ago, the Galactic Concordat came to our world and demanded we surrender. When we refused, they burned our cities. 40 million of my people died in the first day. We've been fighting them ever since." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We found weapons. Ancient weapons, left behind by civilizations that fought this same battle millions of years ago. With these weapons, we've destroyed the Concordat fleet. We could destroy their worlds. We have the power to commit genocide, just like they plan to commit against us." Another pause. The bridge was silent. "But we're not going to do that. Because if we become monsters to fight monsters, then everyone loses. Instead, I'm going to tell you what the Concordat is planning. They have activated a weapon called the Stellar Purge Protocol. In 28 hours, they will ignite a chain reaction that will sterilize 30 star systems, including Earth. Billions of lives. They're willing to kill billions of their own people just to make sure we die too." Jiho's voice hardened. "So here's my offer to the galaxy. We can stop the purge. We have the weapons to do it. But we're not going to be your saviors or your conquerors. We're going to be your equals. If you want the Concordat stopped, if you want to live in a galaxy where no one has the power to threaten entire species with extinction, then stand with us. Send us the access codes to the purge stations. Help us shut them down. And when this is over, we build something new together." He leaned forward, staring into the camera. "Or you can do nothing. Let the Concordat burn those systems. Let them prove that power without accountability leads to madness. Let them kill billions. The choice is yours. You have 28 hours to decide what kind of galaxy you want to live in." The transmission ended. The Midnight Armada waited. For 6 hours, nothing happened. Then the first response came from a species called the Velan, bird-like beings who had lived under Concordat protection for 2,000 years. Their message was simple. "The purge station in our system is a crime against all life. We are sending you the access codes. Stop them." More messages followed, a wave of them, growing into a flood. Species that had been too afraid to resist the Concordat suddenly found their courage. They sent codes. They sent intelligence about station defenses. Some sent ships to help. The Concordat's Grand Council tried to suppress the rebellion. They threatened punishment, promised rewards, made speeches about order and security. But the dam had broken. Too many people had seen the truth. The Concordat was willing to kill billions of their own citizens to maintain power. Captain Hyon, still hidden aboard a Concordat vessel, sent Jiho a private message. 3 of the council members just withdrew their support. Their species are refusing to participate in the purge. The alliance is fracturing. "Good," Jiho replied. "Keep me updated. And Hyun? Thank you for everything." "Just doing my job, sir, though I have to admit, I thought you were actually going to fire the cascade. What changed your mind?" Jiho was quiet for a moment. "I realized something. My brother died in Geneva. So did 15 million others. If I used the cascade, I'd be killing billions more. And at his funeral, if there ever is one, I wouldn't be able to look at his grave and tell him I was better than the people who killed him. I'd be exactly the same." With the access codes from allied species, the Midnight Armada split into 8 groups. Each group had enough firepower to overwhelm a purge station. But Jiho knew that the real battle would be at Talos Prime, the Concordate homeworld. That's where the Grand Council would make their last stand. He was right. The Talos system was a fortress. Defensive platforms covered every approach. Minefields stretched between the planets. The planet itself bristled with weapons, and the remaining Concordate fleet, nearly 100 ships, waited in orbit. The Midnight Armada arrived like a dark tide. The battle was brutal and immediate. Concordate forces fought with the desperation of people who knew they were losing everything. They threw everything they had at the black ships, and for the first time, some of those ships took serious damage. On the Defiance, alarms blared as enemy fire punched through the shields. "Hull breach on deck 12!" Lieutenant Borum shouted. "Shield generators 3 and 7 are offline." "All ships focus fire on the defense platforms," Jiho ordered. "We need to clear a path to the planet." The ancient weapons of the Armada tore into the stations, but the Concordate had learned from their defeats. They had adapted their shields, found weaknesses in the black ship's defenses. It was no longer a one-sided slaughter. It was war. Dr. Minji, monitoring from the horizon, watched the casualty reports come in. The Armada was losing ships. Not many, but each loss hurt. These were vessels that had survived millions of years in the darkness, waiting for a second chance. Now they were dying in a battle that should never have happened. "Jiho, we're losing too many ships," she transmitted. "Pull back. Find another way." "There is no other way. We have to stop the purge, and the main control is on Talos Prime. We're going through." The battle lasted 14 hours. In the end, 37 Midnight Armada vessels were destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. But the Concordate fleet was gone, the defense platforms were rubble, and the Purge control station on Talos Prime lay exposed. Captain Hyun led the assault team that captured the station. It was not elegant, it was brutal. Bloody, close-quarters combat through metal corridors, Marines in powered armor against Concordate guards who refused to surrender. But Hyun's team had something the guards did not. They had been fighting a losing war for weeks. They knew how to turn desperation into strength. When Hyun reached the main control room, she found 3 Concordate council members trying to activate the purge manually. She stunned them with her sidearm and transmitted to Jiho. "Station secured. Purge system is offline. We won." Across the galaxy, similar reports came in. All 8 stations captured or destroyed. The Stellar Purge Protocol was dead. Commander Jiho sat in his command chair and felt the tension drain from his body. It was over. The fighting was over. They had won. But the aftermath was just beginning. The Concordate Grand Council, what remained of it, was brought before a galactic tribunal. Species from across known space sent representatives. The charges were simple: 14 counts of genocide, attempted genocide against humanity, and attempted mass murder through the Stellar Purge. The trial lasted for months. Jiho attended via remote link, watching from Earth, where he had finally returned. The evidence was overwhelming. The Concordate's own records showed their crimes. The council members were found guilty. The sentence was not death. It was dissolution. The Concordate would be broken apart. Its member species would be freed. Its leaders would spend the rest of their lives in prison, thinking about the people they had killed. Earth became the center of something new, a coalition of species who had suffered under the Concordate's rule, joined by those who simply wanted a different future. They called it the Free Worlds Alliance. It was messy, full of arguments and cultural clashes and diplomatic incidents. But it was built on a simple idea. No one species should have the power to threaten another with extinction. The Midnight Armada was decommissioned. Dr. Minji led the effort to seal the ships away, just as the first coalition had done millions of years ago. The weapons were too powerful, too terrible to keep active. But they were not destroyed. They were preserved, locked away in a secret location, waiting, just in case the galaxy needed them again. Commander Jiho retired from military service. He was offered medals, parades, positions of power. He refused them all. Instead, he went home to Korea and became a teacher. He taught history to children who had survived the Concordat attack, children who had lost parents and siblings and friends. He taught them about war, about the price of peace, about the choices people make when everything is on the line. He taught them that being strong means knowing when not to use your strength. Captain Hyon became Earth's first ambassador to the Free Worlds Alliance. She traveled the galaxy, building relationships, preventing conflicts, learning about the hundreds of species who shared the stars. She was good at it, better than she had ever been at war. Dr. Minji continued her research, but now she focused on healing instead of weapons. She studied the ancient technologies not for their destructive power, but for their ability to create, to build, to restore. She led projects to rebuild Geneva, to heal the scars the war had left on Earth and a dozen other worlds. 10 years after the war ended, a memorial was built on the glass plains where Geneva had been. Representatives from 70 species attended the dedication. The memorial was simple, a wall of black stone with the names of everyone who had died in the war. 40 million human names, billions of concordant names, the names of species extinct long before humanity learned to make fire. At the top, an inscription in 100 languages. They demanded we kneel. We stood. We fought. We won. We chose mercy. Remember both lessons. Jiho stood before the memorial, his students beside him. A young girl, no more than 10, raised her hand. "Teacher Jiho, I have a question. If you had the power to destroy them, why didn't you? They killed so many people." Jiho looked at the wall of names. He found his brother's name carved into the black stone. Minje. A good man who had died before his life really began. "Because," Jiho said quietly, "winning the war was important, but keeping our humanity was more important. If we had become monsters to defeat monsters, then everyone would have lost. The Concordat would have been right to fear us, and we would have spent the rest of our lives becoming what we hated." Another student spoke up. "But what if they come back? What if someone else comes and tries to make us kneel?" Jiho smiled. It was a sad smile, but genuine. "Then we'll stand again. We'll fight again if we have to. But we'll never forget that being strong doesn't mean being cruel. Being powerful doesn't mean being merciless. We're human. We can be better than our worst impulses. We have to be." He turned to look at the sky, where stars shone bright and clear. Somewhere out there, the midnight Armada slept in the darkness, waiting. Somewhere out there, other species were watching humanity, wondering what we would become. Jiho hoped they would see a species that had faced extinction and refused to surrender. A species that had found terrible power and chosen not to abuse it. A species that understood that the real victory was not in crushing your enemies, but in building a future where everyone could live without fear. "Come on," he told his students. "Let's go home." They walked away from the memorial together, leaving the names of the dead behind. Above them, the stars waited. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders and dangers, but humanity was no longer alone. They had allies now, friends. A place among the stars earned not through conquest, but through courage and mercy. The Concordat had ordered Earth to kneel. Instead, humanity had set the stars afire with their defiance. And in the ashes of that fire, they had built something new, something better. It was not perfect. It would never be perfect. But it was worth fighting for. And that, in the end, was enough.